Yeah, me again. So anyway, a combination of videos provoked a little bit of thought. Snake Plisskenist, just basically mocking YouTube for falling for it, and Antikontavad still kind of spinning around in rambly, incoherent circles. Meaninglessness is a meaninglessness word, or ooh, meaninglessness, ooh. Anyway, and yeah, so the sort of just got me thinking about intelligence, generally speaking, and some sort of construct of intelligence, where you do have this base of knowledge that, everybody can get, like water is wet. Everybody can sort of agree on that one mostly. And then you can move on to these next levels of perceptual understanding and qualify yourself as some sort of knowledgeable, rationally ordered, logically ordered intelligence that is capable of seeing through the crap and getting to the point. Hey, you dogs, go home. Go home. Come on. Go home. Come here, pups. No, you go home. Come on, go. Oh, I really love that shit. Yes, I don't love it, actually. Yes, I have you on videotape. Yes, I do. Of digital media. I've captured your harassment on digital media. You're harassing me. Stop it. You're bullying me. Stop it. Yeah. I really do hate dogs now. No, go home. Go home. These bad dogs. Bad dog. Bad. Go home. You hear me? Go home. You fucking harass my cat, I'm gonna get you, you fuckers. Oh, God, I hate dogs. Pretty much, completely and entirely. Especially teams of them. These are team dogs. So right in the middle of my video, completely fucked by people and their stupid fucking dogs. Like it should be my fucking problem. Imposers. Jeez. Anyway, okay, where was I? Yeah, I mean, there's so many levels, You're just like, yeah, well, I'll buy a pair of, half pit bull stupid shit dogs and let them loose on my neighbors. Wow, that took a lot of brains. So we're back to this brains argument. Intelligence. See, I mean, that's not like the kind of thing where you say, oh man, it takes a lot of intelligence to figure out that if you're going to have wild animals, stupid animals, really dumb animals as your companion, that maybe you should have some provision, that they don't creep up into your neighbor's yard and, kill their cat. Maybe you should think about it at least. Anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to change the subject. So anyway, I was thinking of this pyramid idea anyway, of correctness. You start to collect facts, you get more and more facts. You do have to have a mass of facts to build up any kind of certainty in terms of having a philosophical argument and perception. You can just spout what somebody says from the top of the pyramid, and you can say, I'll just follow that guy. But it's more credible to acquire the foundational understanding, the information that founds the projections and statements and declarations that can be made from Mount High, from the intelligent perspective, the knowledgeable perspective. They can, from that perspective, things can be ruled out. I mean, I could argue that my knowledge of mathematics and probability and science, let's say, enable me to say declaratively that it's wrong for people to conclude that because there's life on Earth, there's life everywhere in the universe, that somehow life happens easily, that it happens all the time, that happens regularly, is I can make the argument from an understanding not only of the some rudiments of the biology, the mechanism, the not simple chemistry, the understanding that it's not simple chemistry, but also knowledge of the fact that probability doesn't work that way, that there's no reliability in evidence gleaned from insufficient sampling. So when you don't have enough samples, you can't draw a conclusion, because your error rate, your margin of error, that's even like a concept I understand, margin of error, gets too high, and it exceeds any results you have produced in terms of a correlation or any kind of predictability. And so that I can say these things with authority because I have sufficient pyramid base from which to say that. Knowledge of the subject, the relevant subjects. That's a place on the pyramid. It's a height you have to be at to be able to make those kind of statements with any kind of confidence or authority, because you've tested them, you've required people to say, well, where is that accurate, inaccurate, and they haven't come up with any. Damn, it's still wet. Fuck. Anyway, I think your water's still wet too. Fucking offensive. But anyway, so there is this requirement of sufficient knowledge of a circumstance, and so that's sort of like the pyramid idea. The idea that you're moving up to some kind of peak position from which you have acquired the knowledge, and sort of like a pyramid, the conclusions start narrowing the possibility of belief. So that's why I think of it as a pyramid, as it kind of draws up to a conclusion, because it keeps weeding out the impossible nonsense. So as you know more and more about certain subjects, possibility gets narrower and narrower in terms of what you can make up as a truth. And ultimately, there's the final truth, which is the ultimate question, let's say, would be the question of to be or not to be. Yeah, that would be the ultimate question. So it'd be at the peak, the little tiny peak of the pyramid would be the answer to that question. And I guess I would argue that if I took it from the top down, it's easier to answer in many ways. Because you say, what decides whether I should be or shouldn't be? And the first thing you'd say is whether I want. But then you say, if you have intelligence, well, what I want isn't really incredibly relevant. It's a component of the value equation. But more important is, what's my function? What's my utility in the world? Am I an important cog or an unimportant cog in the gear work? Am I making something good happen, or am I making something bad happen, or am I, disposable? And this is the answer. That's where you'll find the answer to the question of to be or not to be. And then that gets caught up in all these other side questions about the nature of what is valuable. And again, I would argue that the intelligence is going to figure out things like the suffering is the value, and who wins the World Series is not value. That's crap. Absolute nonsense that nobody should even give a fuck. And it's disappointing that anybody does give a fuck. And so that's what intelligence can do from its perspective. Now, to get this to Snake Plissken's video, my argument with him is that he's just doing that nihilist thing, that voguey, cool man, modern man bullshit where I don't care. You know what I mean? They'll go to a wedding and throw up on the cake. They just don't care about anything or anybody or any, nothing matters to these assholes. It's all just some kind of sick party, and it just is a sick party. Anything with any kind of decency or core integrity, we just find it disgusting, just grotesque. They're fucking baboons. And but Snake is one of these guys who, he can do the wine glass thing. He can do a little bit of, I can be a fancy buffoon. I can be a buffoon in a tuxedo. And so now he thinks he's like the James Bond buffoon. And so somehow it makes it all alright. And of course it doesn't. It's even a greater humiliation of intelligence. Because like I said, he's not stupid. But he's obviously hasn't climbed enough of the old pyramid. He got lazy halfway up and said, oh, fuck this. I don't like where it's going. I don't like where the damn thing's pointing. Because it's taking life too seriously. So anyway. Maybe I'll make a part 2. We'll see how it goes. An add-on. See how I feel on the way back. So, till next time. Alright, add-on. I think, I was going to do it as I was walking, but the batteries fuddled or fiddled or whatever they did. Camcorder's a little fucked. Anyway, the value thing and knowledge and understanding and all this crap. So, Luddite returns the video, and it's just just garbage. Just bragging about Inmendum, the gorilla, and his, he's a savage and he's a monster and blah blah blah. And so don't deal with the arguments at all, and make a claim that somehow life, what's going on here in the world, it's too complex for us. We don't know the proper jargon to understand how to do this complex whatever. Quantum mechanics of life math or something. The math is over our heads, It's just such a, it's the real core of the nonsense, right? So we're back to the pyramid thing and the fact that if your knowledge base is going to be full of crap, then you're just going to have crap. You're going to have a square of crap. You're never going to do this pyramid thing because you're never going to be able to weed out bullshit. Anyway, I just do some of these comments because they get to these value questions, and so why not? The question that always pops into my head, this is Dana Cat Loves Me, whatever, just a complete asshole. The question always pops in my head, how does unobserved suffering matter? So again, it's this idea that somehow you think mattering is something that we create, and you don't understand that what we do is create value by feeling. So that's the funny part here. That's the irony. You don't get that we actually create value by existing. That if the universe if planet Earth didn't exist, a big giant chunk of value, not necessarily positive value, just positive and negative, the capacity to create value, would be lost because that sentience would no longer exist. And that sentience creates a necessity for stuff to be. It creates demands of the circumstance, because bad things can exist, very bad things can exist. The living things can be in very bad circumstances that need correction. They need it, period. The circumstance needs repair. It's like something being broken. It can be broken now because it's something there that's valuable, something that needs fixing. It needs to be in a better state because it can be in a lesser state, unlike rocks and all this other stuff. So that's quite obvious. We generate value by being sentient. Now this word mattering, okay, being important, being significant, has nothing to do with what we manifest. The fact that we can acknowledge something's greatness, it's like, that's kind of like the thing. Like Einstein is great whether anybody applauds for him or not, right? His brain is a good functioning brain. It is a fact. It doesn't need anybody to witness it. It doesn't need anybody to say it. It doesn't need anybody to applaud it. Okay, it just is. But certainly we can reflect in our perception of reality, in our model of the world. We can acknowledge something's significance. Something has this quality. And that's what mattering is. You recognize mattering. You don't create mattering. We don't get to create it. We acknowledge it when it exists somewhere. So when if somebody's being raped in my front yard, okay, the significance isn't created by me witnessing it. The significance is in the act itself, in the event of somebody being harmed. That's all. I don't need to acknowledge the harm for the harm to exist. The harm will exist without my acknowledgement of it. You can't understand that? Mattering is an acknowledgement of a truth. It isn't something you create. Alright, followed by, how does hypocritical suffering matter? I mean, hypothetical. Yeah, hypothetical doesn't matter unless it's hypothetical that's representing some future that's probable. Then it matters. Retard. Gorilla with a microphone is very fitting for the preacher such as Gary, for a preacher such as Gary. I've never really had a very fruitful dialogue with the supposed efilist subscribers. Yeah, well, that's because you don't say anything to provoke any reasonable dialogue. You're just a potty mouth, creephead. They are all very set in this particular mindset. Well, I mean, really, they can't make it any clearer to you. They're saying to you, look, I'm quite certain evolution's a fact. So if you're a theist, you have a mental illness and we need to work on you. Okay, so if we don't fix that, we really can't have a conversation, okay? Because your God doesn't exist, retard. Alright, so it's kind of game over for any kind of civil conversation because, yeah, you're forcing me to go all the way back to the basement and explain to you some basic fundamental facts of psychological life, okay? You have a silly delusion stuck in your fucking head because some pervert threw it in there and stuck it in there. Not because it's logical or reasonable, not because there's one shred of evidence defending it. In fact, there's a ton of evidence indicating all it is superstition and nonsense. Silly stories told by silly people. So yeah, you're fucktarded, alright? And you don't deserve any respect for being a fucktard. But you also don't, why should anybody care to personally tutor you out of your retardation? I mean, really, the arguments that are made here are so fucking simple, right? It really shouldn't require any work at all for you if you think there's an error in them to correct the error. I mean, they're big, giant blocks of statements saying, look, this is what life is. You're just feeling creatures with a psychology. Your psychology doesn't represent reality. It represents a manifestation of your programming. You can have programming that's consistent with productive behavior, and you can have programming consistent with unproductive behavior. And that's just the truth, shit for brain. All right, but the real game we're playing here is quite metaphorically diagrammable as a game. There's a garbage in, garbage out. This is reasonable, and there's also influence, behavior in and out. Okay, stuff happens to you. You feel, you create stuff in the world, action in the world that causes feelings and sensations in other people, and these are what are just simply added up and. That's the definition of your functionality, you fucktard. You don't have you don't have a counter argument for any of this, you stupid cunt. They're all very set in a particular mindset, if one can say they are actually using a mind. Well, like, so you can make an accusation like that, right? What's your theory, shit for brain? You don't have a theory. You don't have any argument to be made here. You're just a fucking shit talker, a slandering shit talker. A troll is what you are. That definitely loops like a broken record player. Well, again, your complaints sound exactly like that. Your redundant little slanders is the best you can do. You have no dick, no balls, no integrity, no intellect to demonstrate here. What intellect are you demonstrating here? What rational, high-minded principle are you articulating? Oh, that's right, absolutely none. You're just shit-talking on a fucking comment section on a YouTube video, jackass. You really can't do that and then talk about how you're doing some sort of pristine brilliance, that you're somehow logical and reasonable. That's unreasonable behavior, jackass, to be preaching from. Great text. Now, the gorillas are extremely passive and sensitive animals. Well, not if you fucking tweak their anus, they're not. They'll beat the motherfucking cunt shit out of you. Go ahead. Paint a Hitler mustache on a gorilla's mama and see what happens, moron. Yeah, I'm ashamed at so insulting gorillas. I'm serious. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. We just stick with savage. I don't mind being a savage by your perception. Because in my opinion, you're a molester of the truth. You're a disgusting pervert. So I'd rather be a savage than a disgusting fucking pervert. I don't know, he's responding to Barklord. Oh, good. Yeah, I gotta send some shit to Barklord. God damn you, you carried on with this as if to legitimize. Brother Ludite, please get some rest. I don't know exactly what that means. In a sense, engaging in Mendham is a double loss. Well, whatever, you keep bitching, okay? This is the third time now you've done your little whiny whatever. I can't play with Mendham because he beat me up. Ugh, fuck you. Acknowledge intrinsic or exclusive. Said engagement has the value of roughly a discussion debate with Roy Comfort. Well, again, you're making me into the religious nut when it is you who are professing some sort of mystery truth that unravels something, that demonstrates that somehow we're too simplistic. That yeah, our dissection and our reductionism, and the same with Dawkins and all the rest of these people, somehow they're Ray Comfort-esque. I mean, the irony of this is just so fucking preposterous. And secondly, and this is how I've justified, I suppose, continued engagement, is la practical import. But then I ask, does the discussion in question even have practical import? Not likely. I'm just being masochistic at this point. Again, I don't really care, really. You're not engaging the subject, so you're just another one of these, whatever. I'll call you one. I'll call you something insulting. Well, fuck that. I won't bother. But I mean, you're claiming an authority and an integrity to your ancient philosophers and your complex view of the universe, as if you can't even have a conversation about something like basic math, like the math of ethics, without complexifying it. They're putting everything in all these strange categories. We have this idea of an ambition, as if an ambition means something. Again, the simplest way to look at this, if the human beings were rats, and we were some intelligent, we were going to decide for the rats whether it's a good game they're playing or not. That's all that's taking place here. So all this nonsense about how we would not give a shit about whether there was a rat who liked to, have anal sex or something, or a rat did this, or a rat. No, we wouldn't sit there and measure that shit and say, oh, that's worth something, or that's not. We wouldn't play that games with their psychology. We would understand it's a psychology, and it doesn't matter whether they want Cheetos or whether they want corn chips. It doesn't matter what they want. The only thing that would matter is the fact that they wanted and that they need satisfaction. And that's all the game they're playing. They're not playing a game with any more integrity than that. They're just trying to achieve a state of satisfaction, and it really doesn't matter how they gain that satisfaction. And the rational thing to do is to minimize the complexity of their acquisition. All right, Barklord did that. One of my friends once referred to Mendham as the grand poobah of anti-natalism. Well, shit, there's a load off. Hey, Game of Thrones is on 8D. Well, whatever that is. I don't know. Fuck you, you're an idiot. In truth, I might be considered part of that camp. Let's see, who's this guy? Okay. From my experience, a lot of people who agree with the large parts of what we call anti-natalism or negative utilitarianism really dislike much of its YouTube manifestation. Well, again, another vague pile of shit from another one of these cunts who would like to be a fucking goddamn... What do you want to be? You want to be a mite on a spider? This is one of these assholes who think, yeah, human beings suck, but, somehow nature's all okay. These fucking retards that think this living thing is doing something besides consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. They won't articulate it. They won't explain it. They just fucking make raggy little comments, and that's all they can accomplish. But it's just crap. They should be goddamn mites on goddamn fleas, and then they can talk about how brilliant life is. You fuckers. You really should be entrapped in the world you are glorifying, you fucking sick bastards. I like how Gary boasts about the fact that his worldview hasn't... well, in truth, I might be considered part of that camp, which is kind of funny. So Luddite returns as conceding that part of him says, yeah, this negative utilitarianism sounds a little bit rational. As he, discounts the arguments. I mean, it's just ludicrous. You have to be an imbecile and a simpleton to have such a crude understanding of the basic economics, to call yourself a negative utilitarianism. I mean, shit. That's just too black and white, isn't it? I mean, that doesn't have a God in it anywhere. I like how Gary boasts about the fact that his worldview hasn't evolved or matured since he was 6. What I'm saying is that the truth is understandable by somebody 6 years old. It's only when they get hold of your brain and fill it full of bullshit that your brain turns to shit. All right? If nobody tells you some God story, if when you ask your first questions about why I'm here, what's the significance, what's the game I'm playing in life, if they gave you the honest answers instead of telling you Santa Claus or God or some I love, oh, you're an expression of my love for your father, or some kind of fairy tale mumbo jumbo, that's the stuff that just rots your brain, okay? Your brain turns to shit, and if you're lucky, you can grab it back before they get a hold of it and turn it completely into useless mush with lies and delusions. But yeah, the truth is really fucking simple, okay? And we know the truth now, so people don't even have to lie anymore. They don't have to make up a story. They can tell the goddamn truth, okay? It's a bunch of evolving organisms that are basically in tooth and claw brutal competition with each other to acquire the right to die after they leave behind a couple of shitheads to do the same fucking thing all over again. There's salmon swimming up a stream so they can shoot their load and drop the fuck dead. Yeah, I mean, that's the worldview, shithead. Whether you like it or not, that's what's going on planet Earth. The world called Earth, that's what's going on, you fucking shit for brain. Alright, there is no God, there is no mystery, there is no spirituality crap. All that is just delusional crap in your fucking head. And yeah, an honest 6-year-old, a non-retarded 6-year-old, a non-molested by your lies 6-year-old can understand it. He has acquired the status as being leading spokesman for AN and efilism. Well, since I coined the phrase efilism, I guess I should be the spokesperson for it. That might be legitimate. Whether he wanted that is questionable. I know very little about the works of Kant, Sartre, Nietzsche, Benatar, Schopenhauer, but I have studied most of them during 3 years at university and didn't even scratch the surface of the surface. Well, whatever. Philosophy really isn't that complicated. Darwin isn't that complicated. He's got a big, thick book, but most of the book is chronicling evidence. Okay? The parts where he's concluding based on the evidence could be a little tiny paperback. Okay, the facts gleaned from the evidence is a little thin statement, a couple of paragraphs. And that's the truth here, okay? What we're caught up in is not that complicated. Making the evidence or the argument for it, that gets complicated because people are obnoxious, belligerent, they're so clingy to their fucking lies and their bullshit that, yeah, it takes a whole lot of argumentation to pry them loose from their lies. Shit. Amendment provokes discussion, which is good, but personally I couldn't vouch for the veracity of his analysis. Well, yeah, you can't vouch for it, but you can't, I mean, there's just no point. Like I said, even that somebody would have to vouch for it. It's on its face. It's in your face. It's not that consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. Okay, what needs to be vouched for? What you need to do is explain how one of those 4 elements is inaccurate, completely bizarrely wrong, and how this other element, this 5th thing, okay, is vitally has huge integrity, is being obnoxiously and through stupidity and ignorance and bigotry and denial is being denied its proper status within that foursome. Explain to me how a natural selection is anything other than properly metaphored as a gladiator war, as a murderous bot competition. Explain how it's anything other than that. That it is basically selfish genes fighting it to the death, to the annihilation, to the extermination, fighting for their existence. Explain how there's something else happening. And is it really that complicated? Does it need analysis or veracity or any of this bullshit? No, I don't think it does. However, the final solution, I have faith, well, whatever that is, that it is doomed to fail, well, whatever. The final solution is what? Oh, yeah, we're suggesting that people should understand the statements we're making, take hold of a thing called responsibility for their existence, recognize that they don't have rights just because nature gave them a penis doesn't mean they have some sort of, they've earned it, okay? That all of our interactions and our effects on the world have to be filtered through, judged through this filter of logic and reason and rationality. That you can't fuck somebody without good cause. Yeah, that's not that fucking complicated, jackass. Alright, brilliant. Don't understand it all, but thumbs up for this. Well, that's a typical Bindon fucking turdy piece of racky shit fucking puke commenter on the internet. Crap, fuck you. This is slandering, shit talking, piss pukey piece of crap. Living is an immoral act to them. Living is. So again, another bullshit statements. Okay, if you're alive for no real good reason, but you're here, and you can make the best of it, or you can be just an exploitless pig. And yeah, you've made your choice, quite obviously. As Sir Greytext insightfully pointed out once, therefore they advocate cosmic genocide. Whatever. It's genocide to suggest something shouldn't replicate. The word is antinatalism. It means you shouldn't have babies. There's no genocide involved unless you're going to force an issue. And there is no way the issue gets forced if all you do is create an honest society that forces people to pay for their reckless right to play God. Which is an impossibility. They don't practice what they preach even individually. Well, again, you don't have no understanding of what it is to accomplish anything. You don't really understand that you can't surrender and win the war. Yeah, you really can't do it that way. Surrendering's not going to be the road to victory. Shit for brain. Doesn't get any more neurotic than that. No, it slandering assholes like you. Again, another YouTube commenter who can do nothing better than slander other people, doesn't produce any content of their own. Useless sack of fucking creepy shit. Alien Barbecue is your name, right? What does that even stand for? Shit for brain. Talk about self-defeatism. It's the very definition of masochism. The modus operandi of the pathology itself, to bitch without ever accepting responsibility for one's own suffering. Well, again, I don't even understand. What does that fucking mean? Responsibility for my own suffering? What does that mean? Does that mean something to me? Does it? I don't think it means anything to me. Are you gonna walk up to somebody with the paralyzed in a wheelchair and say shit like that? Fuck you. Their failure to find meaning in life is theirs alone. Well, again, I have plenty of meaning in life. I find plenty of purpose in existence in the sense that there's lots to clean up, lots of work to do. So I'm not short on meaning. What I'm short on is an understanding that it's at all productive, that it isn't leaking oil badly, that it's a toxic waste dump waiting to get even worse, more toxic, waiting to explode. And you assholes are just going to keep pushing it. Okay, you're going to keep making victims. You're stupid motherfucking cunt bastards. You're the most useless, disgusting, horrid pieces of crap on earth. You're the fucking genocide. You're the makers of the harm and the evil. You're the ones financing it, perpetuating it, paying for it. And god damn it, you should get every inch of the bad should fall on you. You should get exactly what you deserve. Exactly. That would be perfect. That would make me happy, as if you got exactly what you deserve. Your silly mockery of the failure that is life. It doesn't even have it. It has nothing. Efilism refuted in one sentence. Oh, this ought to be really great. 7-second video. So this is how a non-savage, a non-gorilla argues. Alright, the need to suffer needlessly isn't a philosophy, but a neurosis. The need to suffer needlessly isn't a psychology, it's a neurosis. That means something to somebody. Not to me, it So that's just absolutely brilliant. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that cures cancer, does it? You just show that stuff at the hospital. Go to St. Jude or something. You just take that into everybody's room and show that to them, and that makes it all better, right? Yeah, sure it does. Somebody should write that on a giant axe, before they drop it on your neck. Yeah, that would be sensible justice. Fuck you. Ugh, disgusting, putrid crap. So anyway, Lud, are you proud of these commenters? Are you really? They're the intellectuals of the internet? Hmm? They're the smart people? Was there something smart in there? No, I don't think there was. So I think you fail. Yeah, I think you fail. So anyway, enough. Till next time and such. So forth and whatnot.